Imagine
A podcast.
where time drifts slowly,
A podcast.
where
Isaac.
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
Hey, hi, hello, it's Isaac. Welcome back to Coexist Inc. Separate the art from the artist, I'm told. And that's convenient, because I still want to listen to Wagner and John Lennon. I still dig Tibetan Buddhist philosophy in spite of the fact that every guru or Rinpoche that I've ever liked turns out to be some kind of degenerate sex fiend. But can this apply to politics? Can our great political thinkers tell us the truth, but act against the principles that they espoused? One of the more surprising figures caught up in the Epstein files is Mr. Manufacturing Consent himself, Noam Chomsky. Epstein and Chomsky had a shockingly close relationship. Chomsky's wife elatedly told Epstein in an email that she had prepared his favorite dessert. Cute. In February of 2019, just months before Epstein died, Chomsky sent him this email. I've watched the horrible way you are being treated in the press and public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. I've had plenty of experience, though of course not on this scale. A Google search will bring up tons of hysterical accusations of all sorts, even groups devoted to vilifying me. I pay no attention unless I'm approached for a comment on a specific matter. It's a nuisance, but it's the best way. The same conclusion from experiences of others, in some cases, close friends. It goes on, but what the fuck, man? How does one of the leading quote-unquote left intellectuals associate himself with the dark heart of imperial blackmailing pimpery? Many people who found Chomsky's leftist politics too tepid or too anti-revolutionary are taking a victory lap. Does this taint his work and render it useless in the fight against fascism and colonialism and U.S. empire, all of the things that Chomsky dedicated his work to? Were there signs in Chomsky's political philosophy that might have hinted at a relationship or a rationalizing like this? Can we allow our political figures to live lives separate from their philosophies? Do as I say, not as I hop on board the Lolita Express and visit Little St. James Island. To make sense of this, Nathan Robinson stopped by my apartment. Robinson knows Chomsky fairly well. His work has been influenced by Chomsky's criticism of U.S. empire, and it shows in his work in his magazine Current Affairs. He even co-wrote a book with Chomsky in 2024 titled The Myth of American Idealism. Robinson gives the best explanation I've heard so far to this whole affair. We also talk conspiracies, the state of journalism, and we are visited by a super special secret guest. And before the show starts, I'm going to ask you for a favor. Whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's those bastards at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or whatever, pretty please, give the show some stars and leave a comment. Send the show to your mom, your ex, your crush, your old gym teacher. I don't care. I expect all of my social media accounts to get banned at some point this year. And the only way to spread the gospel is by word of mouth. I think that's the most effective way. And if you have a few dollars to spare, subscribe to the show. That's always greatly appreciated. And I can say with absolute certainty that your money will not be going to ingredients to bake a pastry for some international sex criminal. Also, there's a video version of this episode on YouTube where you can see my apartment and I accidentally show a lot of my feet if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah. Get my soda up with lean. I like Fago cream. By gelato, I ain't talking about no ice cream. I be trusting how you dream. Why that boy so clean? My bitch, man, my engine farm. You know they mean.
What are we talking about today, Isaac? I didn't even...
Yeah, I know,
prep
right?
anything.
Well, my initial...
I should have asked you for the subject of our conversation.
Well, so we actually, the last time you came on the show, it was almost exactly 3 years ago. It was March 2nd,
wow.
2023.
Oh, God.
Your book, How to
Seems
Speak to
very
Conservatives. Recent. I know, I can't believe
I don't like this. I don't like this passage of time thing.
But you came on and we talked, it was 2023.
Yeah.
And I guess I want to talk about what's transpired since then.
Okay.
But also, I want to talk about just how crazy everyone has become.
Yeah.
because I think when we spoke in 2023, we were talking about conspiracies.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see to what degree your worldview has evolved since then, because I'd say you're a conspiracy skeptic. You don't really play in that.
Well, that entirely
character.
depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to be clear what we mean by a conspiracy. Like, do I think that small groups of elites their in rooms to make decisions that affect the rest of us? I mean, obviously they do.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there's a part of my worldview, where people would say entirely the opposite, that I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? Because of the way I view the world, because I think that so much of what we're told is propaganda, like propaganda and lies by people who are manipulating us. I mean, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. So we'd have to be clear, like what exactly it is I'm skeptical of.
The word conspiracy it's a bad word. In that, the technical definition would just be like, what? Yeah, 2 or more people conspiring.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I believe that people.
How can you not?
How people get together to try and plan actions.
Each side has their own conspiracy culture.
Yeah.
Right. The Democrats, the Blue Anons.
Yeah.
The Russiagate thing was a conspiracy theory, one that kind of fell on its face when it was examined a bit further. And yet, when you talk about something like JFK or 9/11, like I think that it's tainted in a different way.
Yeah, although I would say that I'm totally open to probing 9/11 or JFK. Those particular. I mean, I haven't examined the JFK killing enough to have an opinion on it. My opinion is mostly that I'm not interested in who killed JFK so much, because I don't think it was that different from any other president, and I'm not any more interested in who killed Garfield, or who killed McKinley. Like, those are of historical interest, how the plot to kill them unfolded, but I'm totally open to the idea that the facts as presented weren't true. 9/11 I'm probably more skeptical of, because I have every time I talk to someone who is questioning the 9/11 story, I just had an interaction with Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, who was like, the 9/11 story doesn't.
That guy.
He's like, I no longer believe the official story, and I'm like, well, what do you believe? Like, what are you arguing? Because he was like, he said, Building 7 couldn't have collapsed on its own. I was like, well, the official story is that debris from the falling tower ignited these fires that weakened it structurally, and then it fell. Like, can you explain to me what it is about that story that you think doesn't add up? And he just didn't. He was just like, he just didn't say anything. And I was like, well, I need your alternate theory.
Right.
I need your alternate evidence. Like, I'm totally open to examining it. I'm totally open to it. I just have to have more than, like, they're hiding something from us. Like,
Right.
maybe they are, but I want detail here.
Yeah, Cenk is, how that guy even has a career is I don't get it. That in of itself is a conspiracy to me, that they would put forth this doofus. I'm sorry, he's not good.
Are we recording,
at what
by the
he
way?
does.
Every other demographic advantage Hillary has.
Come sit in your lap.
Oh, Jesus.
How's it going?
Hey, Alex Jones, how you
Good to
doing?
see you, man. You're looking sexy.
All right.
Hey, how's the revolution going? You guys starting the revolution?
We are indeed, Alex. The revolution is afoot. First of all, let me explain something, all right? Okay, this is bullshit. Okay, hold on. We're against Saudi Arabia, you dumbass! We talk about that all the time.
Oh, really?
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah,
You don't know
John.
shit. What do you think? The lizard people are in charge? Is that what you think?
Hey, you're pissed. We're kicking
Bilderbergs?
your ass.
Is that what you
You're
think?
the anti-liberal and you're pissed.
Yes.
Okay.
He's not going to watch this.
I've been on his show, or he's been on our show. And we had a good interaction. I will give him credit. He was one of the first people to say. He was calling out the conspiracy of the Democrats to pretend that Biden could run again. And at the time, not all these Democrats were coming after him for going like, this man is like a corpse. What are you doing running him? So I will give him credit for that. But obviously, there are plenty of things.
Very
that I'm
low
like, oh,
bar to clear, I think, in terms of giving
Well, yes, but at a time
credit.
when no one's clearing that bar,
No one
you
with
get a little.
like his reach, perhaps.
But I find him to be not even charming, you know, like. But we don't have to disparage him too much. But he is not, I think, a great advocate for 9/11 truth. There are people who are much better at that. I also am personally a lot less interested in the forensics of what happened on 9/11, and generally the forensics of any conspiracy, because the way the material world actually operates is incredibly mysterious, and things go in weird directions that you can't, like, there's always a counter explanation as well.
There's a type of there is a type of logic that I'd say I'm skeptical of, okay? Because I'm not skeptical of conspiracy, because I think it's obvious that, you know, that we live in a world where rich people and elites have power, they get together, they make decisions. There's a type of logic I'm skeptical of, though, that I think comes in a lot of times in things like JFK, 9/11, and that is these things, this is weird. Isn't this weird? This is a weird thing. This doesn't add up. Therefore, X. And I did a big article about Candace Owens recently, and she does a lot of the, like, well, isn't it a coincidence? And I think that kind of logic understates the degree to which the world is full of weird things and coincidence. Like, I'll give you an example. When Charlie Kirk was killed, a lot of people were looking at the text that Tyler Robinson, the accused killer, supposedly sent to his roommate. And they were weird. They were like, do you remember? Strange, they're very, very strange. And a lot of people concluded, and I think it's I'm not saying this is like irrational or conspiratorial to conclude, but a lot of people went, nobody talks like that. Mm-hmm. And my view is people are weird. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a theory of the world where that could be a type of person who just talks in this very stilted, elaborated, like, my love, I did this for you, I am the one who killed. Like, I don't think that fact inherently points to the FBI made up these texts. Sure. In fact, I think that if the FBI, there is a theory of the world that says if the FBI had to made up the text, they would probably have made up like a more plausible way of talking. And when you find the weird stuff, that's often the stuff that's true. And we take the weird stuff as like evidence that it's not true, but it could be true. So that's like an area where I'm skeptical of a kind of way that people draw conclusions that is used to conclude that conspiracies occur.
Agreed. And I mean, God, Candace Owens, where to even begin with the lovely Candace?
Okay, I have to tell you guys something before we get into comments, because I need to know that I'm not the only person who didn't know this. Okay, I didn't know this, but also Savannah didn't know this, so at least two of us didn't know this. I was on a walk with my husband, and it was thundering, I think, and I was like, oh, no big deal, we can keep walking because there's no lightning. And he was like, what do you mean by that? And I said, you know, like, it's just thunder. Lightning is the problem. And then my husband was like, you know that it can't thunder without lightning, right? That thunder is the sound of lightning. My mind was completely blown. I promise you, in my 35 years of living, I had never heard that. And I just need to know in the live chat right now if this is just a girl thing, because me and Savannah didn't know this, or is this literally just me and Savannah are the only people in the entire world who didn't know this? Or are you shaken to your core as I was yesterday and as Savannah was this morning, learning that thunder is the sound of lightning?
Yeah, I think that was especially weird about those texts with between Tyler Robinson and his roommate, lover, whatever that person turned out to be, was that he implicated himself in such a way where he just checked all these boxes where it just would have been a slam dunk for any prosecutor in a court of law. That's when it's like weird. But I agree. I agree. That's not
someone
not
could
evidence.
do that. Like, I'm just
Right.
people are
I
just
agree.
so bizarre. People are so bizarre.
I agree. I mean, God, everyone's going so insane. The Charlie Kirk thing is very funny because what I used to do, I'm not a disinformation agent. I don't like to lie, but I do like to kind of throw stuff out there and get people to reconsider history and why things are happening. I didn't have to do anything with the Charlie Kirk thing. The conservatives, everybody just went absolutely fucking bonkers after Charlie Kirk, and we're coming up with some of the craziest conspiracies. I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the trap door, you've seen like the exploding lav mic, which by the way, yours is not, I promise. You're going to be okay. I'm too close to you anyway, so I wouldn't risk it. You've heard that theory about the exploding lav mic on Charlie Kirk?
No, I'm gonna be looking down now.
There's
Do I
saying
hear
there was
this thing
actually
ticking?
explosion, much like the Israeli pager war crime in Lebanon. That they did something similar to Charlie Kirk.
Why?
Well, yes, exactly. Cui bono? Why? Because he was turning against Israel.
No, but I mean, I saw a video of a lot of blood pouring from his neck. Okay.
It's a squib.
But why wouldn't you just, like, one option is gunshot, neck. The simple explanation, like, why do you need the lav mic?
I think a gunshot. Well, I mean, God, there's so many different. That's the thing is, it's a lot of working backwards and explaining these things, and there are infinite explanations for these events, but people are just going more and more and more insane, and I think right now, Epstein obviously is making everyone crazy, Go on.
No, but I just want to say, when we think about lots of times these kinds of stories, and Candace Owens had she thought the French were involved in killing Charlie Kirk. She said she had this whole thing about all the people who were wearing burgundy shirts at the time and how that was like some intelligence agency signal. I had a big article about QAnon, actually, a couple of years back, and I read a bunch of QAnon books. And again, there was this kind of pattern-seeking logic that I think we have to be very careful of. So it really isn't a matter of conspiracy or not conspiracy, right? The conspiracy could be true. I think what we have to do is apply very careful rational methods. So you have to understand statistics. You have to understand, what are the odds? What are the actual odds of something like X happening? Like, not just like this seems weird, but like, if you say there's like an unusual number of burgundy shirts in a place, or like an unusual number of people who share the same birthday in a place, or share the same astrological sign, isn't that weird? Like, the first thing you have to do is go, well, how often does that occur by chance? Actually how often? Not like how often do I think it occurs by chance. But there are lots of weird things in math that make
angel numbers.
There's like, well, no, but there's a lot of things that are weird in math that are true. Like, there's a thing called the birthday paradox, where like more people in a room have a probability of sharing a birthday than you think. Like,
did you know that Charlie Kirk and George Floyd share the same birthday?
Oh, well,
not the same year.
There you go.
But that was a sign.
It's a sign of something.
That's a sign.
So there's this like meaning-seeking thing, and there was like in the QAnon thing, it was very interesting because I was going into their supposed evidence, and I was like, oh, a lot of this is the product of like faulty pattern seeking. So they would be like, look, these people are arranged in a queue, and it's like, well, they kind of look like it, but also, if you take 100 photos of the Trump administration, like one of them, you're going to be able to see them arranged. If you take 100 different ways people arranged, you're not looking at all the photos you discarded. You're just looking at the one photo where they look like they're arranged in a queue. And so what if you arrange people by chance, how often does that happen? That's the question you have to ask. But oftentimes, I mean, what I noticed with QAnon is they're just not using that kind of reasoning method, and so they're finding patterns that could be the product of pure chance or weirdness or aberration. And so there's a particular meaning-seeking mindset that I think I'm skeptical of. Not I'm skeptical of arguments that something is a conspiracy, or arguments that we're being lied to about something, because obviously we're being lied to things about all the time.
Constantly. Yeah, I feel like the Epstein thing, I'm worried it's going to go the same way as 9/11, which is just, they were already doing that. I mean, someone gave me this car freshener didn't hang itself thing, and it's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein, and I didn't find that funny. It's the same thing with like people who have like 9/11 themed birthday parties where the cake is like the Twin Towers and there's a fucking airplane. I didn't know that. I don't. There's a whole culture right now of joking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, on Instagram, it's everyone's making these. It's just Epstein, 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 Epstein.
Yeah.
And it like renders it into this unserious thing when in reality it's. I mean, I think a lot of the conspiracists, even QAnon, you got to give them some credit because they were talking about Epstein early on before it went mainstream.
Sure.
Even if they like, it's kind of like. You get the answer right, but the math is all wrong. That's the way I kind of look at these people.
right for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
About some things.
But the Epstein thing, I think, is changing the political tenor of everybody, and I think people are saying Trump is doing this war to distract from Epstein, which is kind of like, that's maybe a little, maybe.
Well,
I mean, Epstein actually predicted this himself in one of his emails, that he said if Trump is cornered, he will do something crazy like bomb Iran.
I think I think it oversimplifies to say he launched the war to distract from Epstein. I think there are a few reasons. I think one of the things that we also have to be careful of is oversimplifying our explanations for things by saying it has to be one thing or the other thing. Like, did he launch the war because he is belligerent and doesn't like defiance, and because the Iranian regime essentially defied him, thumbed their nose at him, and he wanted to teach them a lesson? That's one reason. Now, it doesn't hurt that it's a great time to have a war as a distraction from your horrible poll numbers, from your unpopular tariffs, from your unpopular ICE raids, from your Epstein scandal. That's another great reason. So
Let's
you
start
go
a very
like,
unpopular war.
if you're making a list of pros and cons in your head, this will get people to shut up about this Epstein stuff is one of the pros. It's not the reason, but it's certainly a good reason, because surely enough, as soon as they invaded Iran, every headline is about Iran. Epstein headlines, I haven't seen one in the last few days.
People are saying that whoever picked the Epic Bacon Reddit name Epic Fury, Operation Epic Fury, shouldn't have done an EP, because the Epstein Fury is very easy to just kind of turn it. But I am seeing people talk about that. I'm a little encouraged by people's response to this a war. I don't know what to call it technically. I mean, the war crime, an illegal like intervention. But with Epstein, I feel like it is changing everyone's understanding of the world in one way or another. And I wonder if for you it has done anything, because I know we're going to get into it with your mentor, and I'm
certainly
curious.
Changed my understanding of some things.
As my understanding of the world has gotten kind of darker, I'm still an optimist. I still believe in the goodness of people, but the more I look into things, the more like my heroes, I'm like, damn it, the Dalai Lama was in the Epstein files, and Michael Wolff said he met him at Jeffrey Epstein's penthouse. Now the Dalai Lama, just said that's not true, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of emails there, and also the Dalai Lama met with that guy, the Sarah Bronfman, and Nexium, got millions of dollars from that sex cult that was very much like a sort of Epstein sexual blackmail operation. I mean, I also learned that the Dalai Lama was on the CIA payroll. I was just like, what the fuck? And then I wonder, like, does this diminish his teachings?
Yeah.
Does this change anything? And so when Chomsky was revealed to be in the Epstein files, I wonder, what did that do for you? How did that change your worldview?
I don't think it changed my worldview, because my worldview is a set of principles that I hold, not a set of people that I like. I try and think about the world in terms of, all right, here are the values that I hold, which is you should be humane, you should be decent, I believe in democracy, I believe in equality, there are all these forces that are antagonistic towards those things. I see the destructive effects of the profit motive and corporate concentration and militarism and nationalism, and so if your view is kind of about those forces, then one person's moral failings or hypocrisy being exposed don't change your worldview that much. I certainly, it changed my view of whether Chomsky successfully upholded the principles that he espoused. And it was disappointing because he had been had always been, I say has been, but unfortunately he had a stroke in 2023 and I haven't interacted with him since 2023 and no one has. A friend, a supporter of the magazine, always a booster, always willing to give a blurb to little lefty publications. He did this, gave me this incredible opportunity to co-write a book with him. And as I look through the arguments of the book that we did together, which are all about the lies of U.S. foreign policy and the brutality of the regime, people ask me, like, do you think Chomsky's work is affected by this? And I'm like, yeah, but I look through it, I don't think a word of the book's arguments actually change. I just think, like, I'm disappointed in this person for being entranced by this rich man who came and said, oh, I'm just interested in your ideas, and here's a fancy sweater, and I would like to take you to dinner. And Chomsky was like, oh, okay, I guess this is fine. And then he heard about the criminal record, but he's like, oh, I guess people are reformed. I mean,
Yeah, it's because I was Chomsky informed me politically very early on.
Yeah.
And I remember, early YouTube videos watching him just absolutely annihilate William F. Buckley.
That there have been interferences with the affairs of other nations whose purposes were, in my judgment, manifestly benign.
For example?
Well, for instance, the Truman Doctrine.
Oh, I don't think that was manifestly benign at all. That was an attempt to
the Greeks
develop an
benign. I think
the Greek situation was benign, not at all. We were
I say the Greeks' testimony is more interesting to me than yours.
Which Greek testimony?
The testimony
of the thousands of people who were thrown into jail and.
I grant not the testimony of the Greek communists who were beaten,
or the Greek peasants who were.
There again, is it a conceptual difference that between the person who desires a life under some kind of freedom and one who desires life under some kind of under communism?
No, because there's no such opposition in Greece. There was a distinction between a very repressive regime, which we instituted in 1946, and another regime, I don't know what it would have been, that would have grown out of a victory of the so-called communists. Now, if you see, what we did had nothing to do with freedom.
The number of people who were slaughtered in Greece, first by the communist insurgency, then by the Nazis, then again by the communists, add up to an enormous
communist insurgency before the Nazis? Which one?
Not insurgency, conquest.
Communist conquest before the Nazis
communist
in Greece?
Insurgency.
Prior to the Nazis in Greece?
Yes, the Civil War of the early 40s.
My point is
that the Greeks...
your history is quite confused. There was no communist insurgency prior to the Nazis. There were communist resistance bands that fought against the Nazis.
This is a matter of nomenclature. The point is that the 40-year-old or the 45-year-old Greek has fought 3 times in certain ventures, in one of which they acknowledge that we bailed
Who is they?
out.
Who is they? The rulers of Greece acknowledge that.
No, also the people.
Oh, I'm quite unaware of that. I'm quite unaware that the people of Greece have spoken on this issue.
Even Papandreou, you like him, I assume, because he hates us.
No, not at all. Not at all. George Papandreou was one of the people who was...
I'm talking about Andrea, which makes it even...
Is Andreas Papandreou...
They're both on record as being grateful to President Truman for his intervention in that part of the world in 1947.
In that case, I disagree with him on that issue. I really do. I think we had no right to intervene in Greece in 1947.
Why did we pull out of the Philippines, for instance?
We pulled out of the Philippines because it became a bad investment.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Oh my God! So it was awesome, and it made being on the right side of history seem cool because you had Buckley with his transatlantic. You see, what's about? What's about you? Yeah, and then Chomsky just like.
Chomsky, what did you say? What did you say? The Vietnam issue more complicated than perhaps you would have it.
Yeah, and then Chomsky just calmly, Jewishly annihilates. I'm sorry, he's Jewish. He's got a great Jewish cadence to me. Jewishly annihilates the Nazi William F. Buckley's bullshit.
Yes.
And so, I feel like I was informed initially politically by Chomsky. My feelings about Chomsky and his political analysis have changed. That while and with your book with Chomsky about the myth of American idealism, I'm lock in step with you, completely.
Yeah.
I think that when things begin to change, a lot of it has to do with Chomsky's praxis, right?
Yeah.
Which, as far as I voted for Biden in 2020 because Chomsky told me to. I was like, okay, I guess if Chomsky says that,
Well,
but it's just that's just how much my understanding of this kind of leftist politics has changed over time.
You wouldn't do that, looking back on it, knowing that knowing what we have now with this war, for instance.
Well, I didn't vote for Kamala in 2024 out of principle, and the question is.
Chomsky would say, and now we have this. So that's what you listen to him in 2020. We got Biden. We didn't get this horrendous
but we
war.
got the genocide. We got the genocide in Gaza. We got the war in Ukraine. I mean, whether we'd have.
But if October 7th had happened on Trump's watch, you would have had the same.
Right. No, that's the thing is I don't think it would be that different.
Yeah.
And we can't know, right? We can only look at exactly what they've done and how the Democrats offer zero fucking opposition to this current incursion in Iran. So, my feeling is they wouldn't be that different. Although I can't say.
Chomsky, I think it's important. I feel like he was often kind of misunderstood on this particular point about elections, because there's this point he tries to emphasize that I think gets lost, which is he's like, the elections don't really matter. He says this. He's like, they only matter slightly. He's like, the differences between these candidates are 5%. But he's like, but it's a vote. It's like, you're just right. Voting. He's like, that 5% difference, let's have the 5% better this is so he's not arguing. And people often are like, so you think this party is so much better? And he's like, no, I'm saying you need to go out and organize to overthrow those people. But when it gets to November and there's two parties on the ballot and the Green Party hasn't picked up momentum because they have no infrastructure and no ability to actually reach people, there are only two outcomes that could occur here realistically. Your vote has to go one of these two ways, or you don't, or you withhold it. I think it's worth saving the 5% of lives or whatever that come with the difference between a Democratic and Republican president. That's kind of his argument. Mm-hmm. And I think you can reject that argument, but it's not an argument that the Democrats are much better than the Republicans.
I don't think he's making that case, and especially with his sort of aversion to JFK, who's become...
His JFK thing is funny, because his dispute with the JFK people, which is like, he thought JFK was just an imperialist. So he's like... A lot of people, like Oliver Stone, argues that JFK was killed because he wanted to withdraw us from Vietnam. And Chomsky is like, he wasn't going to withdraw us from Vietnam. He's a cold warrior. He's an imperialist. He's almost no different from Johnson, and you're exaggerating the differences between Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson and people. And he thinks it's part of the Kennedy mythology that he was different from other presidents, and so he had to be killed. And Chomsky is like, he wasn't different. They're all the fucking same. They're all a bunch of war criminals. And maybe he was killed through some internal dispute. Chomsky doesn't actually foreclose the possibility. He literally goes, and this is one of the reasons Kennedy conspiracy theorists or Kennedy, investigators dislike him. He's like, I don't care who killed Kennedy. He's like, I don't care. He's like, it doesn't make a difference to me. They're all a bunch of imperialists. They're just a pack of imperialist liars.
I mean, I disagree with... I think that's one of the things that I disagree with Chomsky. But my point being that, I think that the criticism of Chomsky's praxis now is that of containment, because he is not, I wouldn't say he's anti-revolutionary, but kind of. I mean, I think that he's clearly not a fan of Lenin.
No, that's true.
Or
he's an anarchist.
Really any communist revolutions.
Yeah. I mean, anarchists have always been very skeptical of what they consider to be authoritarian socialism, or or centralized socialism in the form of a single leader. I mean, this is classic anarchism.
And I guess he makes this argument that bringing truth to power, right?
No,
You wouldn't say that's his
he has.
argument?
If you ask him that, he has explicitly said this is one of his favorite things. He said, "I dislike the expression truth to power because power already knows the truth." He said, "Power knows the truth. You don't tell. Why would you tell truth to power?" He's like, "What would that do?" He said, "You have to build power."
Right. I guess I haven't seen him offer working within these institutions that are rotten to the core in America.
But again, I really think he's kind of misinterpreted. I think people attribute a position to him that if you listen carefully to what he has said, he doesn't say you should work with it. In fact, he's very dismissive of the institutions. He says you have to build power outside. But until you've done that, so until you've built your alternative organization, your alternative party, you don't have a choice except through these existing parties. But you should spend 1% of your time voting in these elections, and the rest of your time you should be spending. I think that actually, if he were asked, I've read a ton of interviews. I had to read basically everything he'd ever written in order to do this book. And so if he were asked about revolution, I think he would say, I am not opposed to the concept of revolution. What I'm asking for is the plan. Like, what I'm asking for is for you to tell me how, in the contemporary United States, a revolutionary ideology is going to attract enough popular support to carry out its plans. And if you don't have an answer for that, then it's just pie in the sky. And I think that's what he would say. There is an argument that I think can be made against his position, which is that he spent too little of his own time thinking of the answers to these questions of, okay, well, if you're so cynical about these institutions, what do we do? How would you build this kind of and his programmatic answers were often skeptical of people who are trying to do things, but not often detailed in what he would have you do instead.
Right. I wonder though, then, in light of his personal choices, because I think it was his 1966 essay, the responsibility of intellectuals, was basically just do not be captured by power, do not cozy up to power.
Yeah.
And then later in life, I think the earliest email I saw was 2015, where he said he's excited to go to the Caribbean.
There's so many emails. It's
pretty bad. I mean, it's really hard to understand how he could be so captured by this character, because the Bannon tapes where he's interviewing Jeffrey Epstein shows that Jeffrey Epstein was a fucking moron.
Why did the ball go down? I didn't push it. I just let it go. So someone's pushing the ball, because I am confident that the only thing that gets something to move is with a force that pushes. So there's a force that's pushing the ball down. In fact, he called it gravity. He measured how fast it was pulled, but never was able to explain why it happened. How is it? What is gravity? It's this. Everybody says, well, why did the ball fall to the ground? Because gravity took it. But what's gravity? That's, as Feynman would say, that's the name of the thing. We have no idea what it is.
Oh, the emails show that. I mean, he's borderline illiterate.
And then for Chomsky to say, well, he had an interesting conversation.
Here's the crazy thing. I think you really see in here how some of the smartest people in the world, all these scientists that he cultivated, are all able to reason themselves somehow to the position that Jeffrey Epstein is intelligent, because Jeffrey Epstein flatters them, says things that kind of sound like they might be an intelligent thought. There's a bunch of emails with Chomsky where Epstein's giving his theories of things, and Chomsky is clearly in response trying to take that nonsense and turn it into something that makes sense. and being like, you know, which you do sometimes when you talk to people who like say something that doesn't make any sense. You go, okay, well, I think what I hear you saying
it's very professorial.
Is this? Are you saying this? And, yes, that's exactly what I was saying, even though they don't have clue what they're talking about. But yeah, it's crazy in these Epstein's emails, because I look at it and I go, wow, this Epstein guy is a moron.
Yeah.
This guy is so unimpressive. This guy is a classic. This guy is like a classic patronizing blowhard who has his theories of everything. He hasn't read anything. Epstein was like something where he was like, I don't believe in writing because like Plato and Aristotle never wrote. It's like, Plato never wrote? What are you talking about?
Yeah, he just walked around in his toga and sucking up
like
young boys.
Socrates never wrote. That's a famous established thing. But we have all the like Platonic dialogues. Like he wrote, and Epstein's just stupid. Like he's just stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's using that. He's using his misunderstanding of Plato as a justification for his inability to write an email. And to people like you and I, that is obvious. Like we look at it and we see that this guy is a fraud. We can see it in the emails. So then you go, how does someone like Chomsky, and it's not just Chomsky, like it's like all of these other like top-ranked professors in the country who are interacting with this guy and coming away going, wow, he's so smart.
I don't get it. And I mean, I think with some characters come off worse than others. I think, what's his name? Robert Trivers?
I was gonna say, Trivers is an interesting case.
He comes off terrible because he's saying, according to his observations, 14-year-old girls today are advancing, are aging faster than they were 60 years ago, which is just like,
oh my God!
Did you not like pass that by anyone else before you sent that fucking ridiculous email?
No, but Trivers, I have one of Trivers' books, okay, and the book is called "The Folly of Fools." How self-deception works.
That's a terrible name, by the way. The Folly of Fools.
But it's about how people fool themselves, and he talks about a lot of. He goes from like in individual, it's very badly written, but he's not an intelligent guy. He's like a good
I would hope so.
Evolutionary biologist or whatever, or psychologist. But he's writing about how people come to believe things that are false, but that are in their interest to believe. And so he goes from the individual level to American foreign policy, on which he's very much a Chomsky. He's very much a lefty. He was like involved with the Black Panthers. Like Trivers is an interesting guy, but this is a guy whose area of academic expertise is how people come to convince themselves of things that are obviously false out of motivated reasoning. Because it's in their interest to believe a false thing, and then he comes to end up spewing something so vile and nonsensical as like 14-year-old girls are actually mature enough to sleep with Jeffrey Epstein because, and it's obvious that he's only saying that because Epstein is paying him money. Epstein was just funneling him money.
It's not just he's funneling him money. I mean, there might be some weird sex stuff going on with Trivers. At least that's how it comes off for me.
Sure.
He says, like, I think he dismisses the Epstein, his friendship with Epstein by saying, I didn't think it was a quote-unquote heinous crime. And then he emails Norm Finkelstein to try to get Norm Finkelstein on his back. He's like, I would hope you would choke Dershowitz and Epstein. That's what he said. I hope you would kill them. So Finkelstein comes off great relief for me. That would have been very heartbreaking if Norm was somehow
well then
implicated.
If you don't want to be heartbroken by Norm, don't ask him what he thinks of Chomsky's relationship with Epstein.
Is he fine with it? Yeah. What did Norm? Did you talk to him?
I am aware of his comments.
What did he say?
I can't go into it because I don't have his
blessing.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go into anything he said, but just
well.
I think that I think Finkelstein basically feels that Chomsky was just naive and doesn't think anything beyond that. I think that's basically his take.
I guess, but so that's the thing. As there's no implication of Chomsky doing any weird sex stuff besides that one email where he says like people have accused me of lots of like crazy things.
Yeah.
But other than that, Chomsky doesn't come across as like
he's not interested in sex.
He's not horny. No.
No,
he's
no,
not.
there is nothing horny.
There's nothing horny
in
about
any
Noam
Chomsky email that anyone has ever exposed.
He's
ever.
not. He's not a horny guy, and I'm glad for that. But then, because for me, obviously the sex stuff is awful with Epstein, but that distracts people from what's really awful about Epstein, which is the money. It's the money and the influence. The sex is just kind of the part of it. Everyone looks at the sex stuff first and foremost as though that's the worst part, but it's the money that's the worst part, I think. And where this money
the
comes
abuse
from,
of young girls is pretty bad.
No kidding. But this is where, but it's that's secondary to the money. It's the money that makes that happen in the first place, right? The sex abuse stuff doesn't happen without the money.
It's certainly true that the whole reason that Epstein is able to get away with this for the longest time is because he is a man who has complete impunity because he's a billionaire.
What's he? That's the thing is we still don't know where his money comes from, where it went. That in of itself is a whole mystery. His associations with the Deutsche Bank and J.P. Morgan Chase, like those are the things that I want people to look at. And I guess that's what's disappointing to me. So disappointing with Chomsky, where it's just like, I understand, like, okay, if some billionaire asks me to hang out and I know they're sus, I'll do it, but that's because, like, I'm this person down here, I'm looking to do research, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking to figure stuff out. If I can get a glimpse into that world and then report it back to everybody, I think that's viable. Like, I need that kind of access. So sometimes I've had to do this with lots of conservative figures who I obviously disagree with. I'm going to be interviewing Randy Fine soon.
Oh my God,
I'm
really?
going to play it in such a way where I'm like chummy. I'm like, hey, I'm a Jew.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, because you wanted to open up.
Yes, exactly. So I understand that tactic.
Yeah.
But this is Noam Chomsky. He doesn't need access.
Well,
and so what I wonder then is in his excuse, in his statement that he made, was he said, I wanted to talk to Ehud Barak to understand like the negotiations, the diplomatic negotiations that went on with Clinton, and they were very enlightening. And he's saying, I was learning so much. It's like, well, when are we going to hear about what you learned from these? When are you going to report back to us that this stuff that you saw that was so important for you to be a part of, and then tell us, okay, expose it.
I think there is an argument to be made. There's not an argument to be made for associating with Epstein because it's not research. He can argue as a leading scholar of the Israel-Palestine conflict that meeting with an Israeli prime minister and asking him questions is, is part of informing his work. The Barak thing actually seems a lot more defensible to me than the Epstein thing.
It just had to be done.
He says what he did with Barak is he asked him, he wanted to know what Barak. First off, he wanted confirmation from Barak of what Chomsky has been writing for a long time, which is that Barak sabotaged the end of the 2000 Camp David negotiations. So when they continued into 2001, Barak pulled the plug, and Chomsky wanted to ask about that because it is a time that it's kind of been shrouded in mystery. And the other thing that he said he asked Barak, or wanted to ask Barak, it's in one of the emails, is I wanted to ask him why he believes Israel's international reputation has plummeted since 1967 when they were the most respected country, one of the most respected countries in the world, if anti-Semitism has been a constant. If anti-Semitism has been held constant since 1967, why has Israel's reputation collapsed? Mm-hmm. And he wanted to know what he would say about that. Unfortunately, we don't actually know because he didn't end up writing about what Barak said. I think that is a valid
lesson
thing.
To not procrastinate.
Everyone. I think that it is a valid thing for an Israel-Palestine scholar to go like, I want, if I have the opportunity to interview an Israeli prime minister, I want to confront him with the question, okay, well, look, anti-Semitism has been in there all along, but now people hate Israel. So are you saying they became more anti-Semitic than they were in the 60s? Or maybe did Israel do something to cause the world to turn against it? I think that's a legitimate thing. So there's a possible defense for meeting with Barack. You can say, well, if you don't end up writing about it, then you know, what's the point in doing it? But Epstein, it's clearly a case of like he's offering him favors. Like he's wooing Chomsky by going, come stay in my fancy apartment. I'm sending you a sweater. He sent him an Angora sweater. Like, that's a case where, like, it's not research. That's just, like, you letting a rich man...
Well, his wife did find out what Jeffrey Epstein's favorite dessert was.
Oh, my God.
And so that takes research.
Jeffrey, you're our best friend. We made
also,
you dessert.
The fact when people still call him Jeffrey, when they refer to him as Jeffrey, Trump does this, Chomsky did it, and he just referred to him as Jeffrey. And I'm just like,
Jeffrey.
The fuck? Why are you calling him that? Don't call him something, like, I don't know, there's something like so much, it's like boyish, you know, to call him Jeffrey. But, yeah, and so I wonder what this does. I mean, again, there have been people who have formed my understanding of the world, Alan Watts being one of them. I still love Alan Watts, but I learned that he was not such a great guy. You know, he killed himself with alcohol, he was a womanizer, and the radio program that he contributed to in the Bay Area was funded by the CIA. So when you learn these things, you're like, God damn it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have anything nice. And does that change his words? Does that change his lessons? Yes and no. I can't necessarily separate the two anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like people would like make that argument with Woody Allen. Can you separate the art from the artist? Have you seen Manhattan? The art is pedophilia.
Listen, I don't think we should keep seeing each other.
Why not?
Because I think you're getting too hung up on me, you know? Hung up on me. I'm starting to sound like you when I talk.
I'm not hung up on you. I'm in love with you.
You can't be in love with me. We've been over this. You're a kid. You don't know what love means. I don't know what it means. And nobody out there knows what the hell's going on.
We have laughs together. I care about you. Your concerns are my concerns. We have great sex.
But you're 17 years old. By the time you're 21, you'll have a dozen relationships. Believe me, far more passionate than this one.
Well, don't you love me?
The truth is that I love somebody else.
You do?
Hey, come on. This was supposed to be a temporary fling. You know that.
You met someone?
Don't stare at me with those big eyes. Jeez, you look like one of those barefoot kids from Bolivia who needs foster parents.
Have you been seeing someone?
No. Yes. Someone older. I mean, you know, no, not as old as I am, but in the same general ballpark as me.
Like, that is the story that Woody Allen is telling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay to date a 17-year-old.
Yes.
Because she acts mature. It's like, that is the art. And so, I wonder with Chomsky,
but, you know,
if that does change at least some of his interpretation or his understandings and
I don't know,
practice.
because, I mean, Manhattan is a case, as you point out, where the art itself contains the message. But that's not always the case. Like, Michael Jackson appears to have abused young boys. It's a horrifying case, right? Numerous allegations. They're very detailed. They're very disturbing. No one wants to believe it because everyone wants to like Michael Jackson.
That's a whole conspiracy theory.
We all like Michael Jackson. But even if it's true, right, everyone goes, well, yeah, but Thriller isn't about that. Like, so do we have to throw it away? Like, would the truth of those accusations bear on whether we could enjoy the Thriller album? I don't think so. I think there is a case where you can't separate art from artist in a case where the art is literally the message that is the thing about the artist. But in the case of someone who is who's killed someone or something, but they're writing about, they're writing art criticism, like, you have to evaluate the arguments they're making. And in Chomsky's case, you could say, like, it affects the work. To me, what it does is the work stands on the basis of whether the evidence supports the arguments that he's making. And when the evidence doesn't support the arguments any more or less, even if Chomsky ended up in prison for, stabbing someone. Like, it just wouldn't affect the arguments. But what it does do, for me at least, is give a very cautionary lesson in the fact that it is extremely difficult to be consistent in your principles, and even people who you would think would be the ones that are most attuned to the ways in which the powerful can entice you and co-opt you, and the way that they exploit people and the way that they cover it up. Even people like that are not immune to being deceived and to being bribed and to falling into and to having the spell woven.
I guess I'd like to think that you and I wouldn't. Would you? Have you?
I'd like to think that.
Have you? Okay, so it's very easy for me to say I wouldn't do that because no one invited me. No one called me to attend some fucking orgy or whatever. Well, at least not that kind. But have you been offered something before where you had to be like, this goes against my principles? No, thank you.
Yeah. I think that, yes, that's the thing. It's very easy to stay pure when we haven't had a billionaire come up to us and go like, I love your work, I want to support it. Like, I just love your work. I'm just here because I'm interested in what you do. If you're ever in New York, I have an apartment you can use, right?
Just don't Google me or look at my arrest rap sheet.
Or you can Google me, and if you do, I'll say, look, I did a terrible thing. It was years ago. I served my sentence. I'm reformed. And maybe you'll think, no, I'm not going to go anywhere near you. Or maybe you'll think, part of you will go like, okay, he committed a crime, but that doesn't mean I can't stay in this apartment. I mean, come on. What does that have to do with it? He served his sentence. You start using that motivated reasoning, right? It's very easy to find, Chomsky said in his initial statement, he was like, well, serving your sentence yields a clean slate in this country. Like, we
his sentence.
Rehabilitate
but
people.
That's the fucking joke. That wasn't even a sentence.
I know.
So, okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we know that that's crap, right? But you can see how when someone comes along and is like, anyone you want to meet? Is there anyone you want to talk to? Any questions you want answered? And you go, yeah, I've always wondered why the Israeli Prime Minister did. Oh, I'll call him right here. Oh, I've always wondered why during the Oslo Accords. Oh, well, I know the Norwegian guy who brokered the Oslo Accords. We'll dial him up and he'll answer all your questions. What would we do in those circumstances? I have had a couple of these things. We looked into never anything serious, but we looked into some. We were trying to get real funding, because we're mostly subscriber funded in the magazine. We're trying to get real funding, like grants, because we're a nonprofit. So to get some grants so that we're not constantly scrounging for $60 subscriptions. And I found an organization that was like funding media, and they were like, we want to support independent media. So I was like, great, I'll contact them. I'll give them our pitch. We're a fund for independent media. Well, I got in touch, and they said, oh, we love the sound of you. Let's have a meeting. We'll set up a meeting. So we set up the meeting. And then I looked into the organization, and they were a product of the Emirates. They were Gulf. It was either the Emirates or it's one of the Gulf dictatorships. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's dictator money. Yeah. You understand? Like, if they fund you, that's dictator money. Mm-hmm. You can't take dictator money. What are you doing? So it canceled the meeting. We didn't have the meeting, but if they had offered us what if they don't come off? Said $4 million. Here's $4 million, and you know what? We won't tell you what to do with it. We don't.
That's very tempting.
It's very tempting.
Yeah.
Your mind starts going, okay, well, yeah, it's dictator money, but they're not dictating what I have to do. They're they've got total editorial freedom. Mm-hmm. We've had donations to Current Affairs where they've supposedly been no strings attached, and then subtle ways of putting pressure on our content occur afterwards, which, as soon as that happens, I just cut it off and I'd be like, yeah, sorry.
I'll still take your money, but I just won't do what you say. Or...
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I just talked to a lefty journalist filmmaker who was making movies and seeking funding, and was like, every meeting was like, it was very clear that whoever was going to fund it was expecting to have editorial control. And so it was very difficult to get strings-free funding. We've been very fortunate at Current Affairs that our subscribers have come through for us in such a big way, because we haven't had these dilemmas. But these dilemmas come up all the time in the world. Like, whoever is paying the piper calls the tune.
It is tough, but I think again that's with Chomsky, where it's just like he didn't need funding. He was already well established. He had enough money, and so I think that at least for like people who leftists who didn't believe that Chomsky was left enough, wasn't revolutionary enough, I do think that maybe it isn't. The art is a part of the praxis is a part of the theory, and the praxis was like being close to this kind of power, whereas like I think now maybe in hindsight it's just like, you know, these people cannot be negotiated with, you cannot work with them, they need to be removed, not just from power, maybe like something more extreme. And so I wonder if Chomsky's anti-revolutionary sentiment, his anti sort of at least initial authoritarian bloodletting, which I think is vindicated in a lot of cases. I do think that, you know, when we look at the lessons of Chavez in Venezuela, it was like, y'all didn't go strong enough. You shouldn't have left this oligarchic infrastructure in place, because you can never work with these people. It is never enough for them, and there is no negotiating with them. Like, I think, like, maybe now, at least, because I used to be more, like, softer on these kinds of things, but now I have a much more hard line, saying that, no, like, just line drawn, these people cannot coexist with us.
Yeah, but I think I would draw a distinction between the arguments that are made about what is necessary and legitimate in the course of a political revolution, and the personal willingness to speak with and be friends with rich people. Because the arguments, I find it a little tenuous to argue that Chomsky's friendship with Epstein tells us anything about, like, Lenin and the Red Terror. Like, I just think that the arguments over whether Lenin was insufficiently concerned with civil liberties would be equally valid or invalid if Chomsky's name had not been in the Epstein files. Right? If Chomsky's name had not been in the Epstein files, like, that wouldn't make his criticisms more valid. So the fact that his name is in the Epstein files, I think, doesn't make his criticisms less valid. Like, I just think that, like, because let's imagine an alternate world in which just Jeffrey Epstein happened to not exist. Mm-hmm. Well, that question of whether you can work with these people or not, or whether, you know, you have to the ruling class is reformable, is just not affected by that. Like, if he's wrong, he's still wrong, even if he'd been a paragon of virtue who had managed to carry out his principles and was like, I am a saint, I don't get involved with the rich, I don't go near these people.
Or if I do, I got a vest on of some kind, you know?
Yeah, and if I ever go near them, I am very carefully thinking about exactly how they're trying to exploit and use me, and I'm going to act accordingly.
And potentially discredit you. I think that's the thing that's so risky about this, is like, and the fact that he didn't speak, Chomsky never, it was by accident that Chomsky's relationship with Epstein was revealed. It was literally through some, like, Facebook sleuthing that someone made these connections and then be like, oh shit, you're fucking friends with Epstein? And then, you know, it all comes pouring out. And he's waited too long, I think, to properly address this, or, you know, I don't know.
I think one thing that is... One belief of his that I would say is definitely discredited are undermined by the revelations of his conduct is just the belief that you can separate your convictions about how power works and your theories from what you do, right? So Chomsky didn't think very much about his own life. Like, he thought about how systems worked, and he was like, I'm going to analyze things, I'm going to write about how things are. My life, that's like a whole separate domain. Like, I work at MIT. Like, it has nothing to do with this. Like, I teach linguistics. I am a scientist. Who I'm friends with, where I eat dinner, like, whether I'm staying in some guy's apartment, like, that's just totally irrelevant. Like, he had a sharp bifurcation between the work, where he's just like, the work is facts, and writing, and then there's me, and I just live in this little bubble. And I think you can't do that, right? Because you live in the world, and in the world that we're in, like, if you're friends with a billionaire who's trying to use you, like, you are becoming part of the thing that you say you're trying to undermine in the domain of your work. These are not separable existences. There's no, like, the world of your head and then the world of your body. Like, so that, I think Chomsky's, like, desire to... I mean, he was part of political movements because he would go all over the world giving talks to little activist organizations, always very supportive of lefty organizations, but he wasn't so much an organizer. He didn't build an organization. He didn't involve him. He really considered himself kind of like, I mean, he didn't like the word intellectual, but like someone whose job is to do the thinking and writing.
Right. And yeah, I think that's sort of Hegelian top-down sort of politics. Yeah, I don't think that it works anymore. Just critiquing power, it alone isn't enough. At least that's what I kind of gather from this, is that there needs to be something more tangible in not just our intellectuals, but in every political form.
One of my frustrations with Chomsky is Chomsky's always someone who, when he analyzed social movements, would be like, we have to think about the consequences. You can't just have superior virtue. You can't just believe the right things. You have to think, what are my actions going to lead to? What happens as a result of them? And yet, in his own life, he is someone who didn't tend to think like, okay, but what are the results of what I'm doing? Like, am I successfully building an organization? Am I successfully building a movement? I mean, he almost thought of himself as like on some other plane, and so I try and learn from that. That's why I'm not in academia. I left academia precisely because I thought, okay, that's useless. That's useless. I am in media where I'm like trying very actively to change minds. And it would very much disturb me if I found that I'd gotten very close to power. Like, that's one of the reasons that I was like, okay, the magazine has to be in New Orleans. It can't be in New York. Because if it's in New York, I'm going to meet people who are the people I'm writing about, and they're going to be real nice to me. And I might even like them, and they might even offer me money.
And cocaine. There's a lot of cocaine going on in the media in New York.
And all the pleasures of life, and good meals, and sex, and all these wonderful things, and there are all these temptations. In New Orleans, I don't know any of these people, so I'm just off in the swamps writing about power from a distance. And it's really good to be at a distance. And that's a way that in your own life, it's a very small thing. I'm not saying we're totally insulated, but like, you've got to wall yourself off from the temptations.
No, I agree. I have a special guest potentially.
Okay.
This is a fun one.
It's not really fine, is it?
Wouldn't that be cool though? Actually,
no, it would not be cool. It'd be horrendous.
Let's see here. Let's see if he's. see here. He said he's available.
Who are you calling? Is it Norman?
That was, oh man, I could call Dershowitz. He'll pick up right now. I saw your Dershowitz sticker there.
You got his number?
Yeah, he picks up for me within 2 rings every time.
Why?
He came to New College to speak.
But why do you talk? How did you get involved with talking to him?
I was gonna write a story about him for Sarasota Magazine, but it got killed because I think I went a little too hard.
This is Milton Friedman, by the way.
Oh, it's Milton Friedman?
This is fuck Milton Friedman.
Oh, that looks just like Alan Dershowitz, though. Doesn't it?
It's Milton Friedman.
I guess all Jews look the same.
I was a little bit of anti-Semitism there, Isaac.
Let's see here if we can get him. But yeah, Dershowitz was funny. What I do now is he's only going to give you useless information that and he always sticks to the script. He's very good about that. He's unshakable. You cannot get him. And I'm always trying to fuck with him a little bit. I'm always saying crazier and crazier things to see how he'll respond. Like on one interview, one time I called him and I was talking about Natalie Portman. He was like, "Oh yeah, Natalie, she was a great student." I was like, "You know, I heard Natalie is a sapiosexual." And he was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Someone who finds intellect attractive." And he like really liked that, even though she never said that. I made that up.
You made that up.
Yo.
Yo.
I got Nathan here.
Nice.
Who am I talking to? Isaac didn't tell me who he was calling.
Mr. Derek, Jesus Los Super Jew on Twitter. I did meet you one time. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, no, we're old friends.
Yeah.
We're old friends.
Yes.
We hung out in New York, in Brooklyn together, eating vegan pastries.
Oh, I've been wanting to get you two for years. I've been wanting to get you two together at the same time.
Oh no, we're way ahead of you.
Yeah. It reminds me of like a much more innocent time on the internet when it was fun.
Yeah, much more simple. We weren't inundated with Nazi propaganda 24/7, which was nice.
I gotta say, I kind of miss you.
Yeah, I agree, brother. I agree.
It's kind of a lot of pressure just being the only one who's me now.
Having to shoulder the whole.
Well, yeah, you got to take some of the flack. Which was great. Like, people would come after you, and I could just, like, step back, and if I wanted a day off of being me, I knew you were holding down the fort.
Yeah, facts. I could always spin it back, but I don't know. It seems like I don't know if I need to pull the sword out of the stone at the moment,
Are you just yourself
Maybe
now?
Moment's right. I think my, I need to change my, my display name. It's just like Trende Aragua customer support line, because I was just trolling people with when the Venezuelan election stuff happened, basically, and that became a talking point.
Didn't
I would
you
occasionally
impersonate
get very upset DMs.
Didn't you impersonate people before me? Who else were you?
Oh, I did. Oh man, there was some like just straight like Lobby accounts that had no clout, really didn't matter. I did Dave Portnoy once. That was funny. I got some really good DMs during that one, because apparently a lot of people just DM Dave and they're like, "Oh man, dude, I really fucked up. I just like lost a bunch of money on your shit. Can you like help me out, please? Like just do me a solid real quick, or people just like asking him to review pizza places. Some very sad ladies asking him on dates, which that hurt my soul to read a bit. But yeah, very brutal. I did James Lindsay before.
Oh man,
I remember that. Yeah,
Conceptual James.
Yeah, that was a good one. He threatened to sue me. Didn't sue me. Shocker.
He seems a little unhinged, Conceptual James.
Yeah, he is. He's also completely fallen off the map. Like, I haven't really never see or hear him anymore at all. Like, whatever the right had going on then has completely superseded him. He's just a nobody.
He's studying the Blade right now, guys. He'll come out of...
Yeah, that's a great video.
Yeah, that video.
That's a really good video. Oh man, I forgot about that one. Who else did I do that was evil? I did like when the Breaking 911 account came out, they had like a clickbait right-wing news thing. I did a couple of those, but they banned me pretty quickly for those. Those got some real traction actually. And I just
make that kind of slop news all the time, and it's I don't know, a lot of people make their job off of doing it on there, it seems like. And it's totally cool.
Well, I miss your work.
Which is a shame.
You know.
I do what I can. I just kind of like post on there now, really.
Yeah.
At some point I should just make like an alternate account or something like that, or maybe try and get one of my old. I got banned a bajillion times in the old days, so I've got other accounts that I could put in an appeal for, and if I just say
perfect.
I was banned for free speech. The Democrats were like silencing me or something. Now you guys are in charge, and they'd be like, "Oh, sure, I guess."
Just say you were banned for hate speech.
Yeah,
and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, here's a blue check."
Yep. Insta. Infinite unban glitch. Basically, I have a blue check actually because you can gift them. And so a friend thought it would be funny.
It was funny.
If he just dropped that shit on me, and so I'm cursed.
Oh no! I'm glad nobody's done that to me.
Don't give anybody ideas.
Oh no! Oh no! You can get what you can. You can like involuntarily gift them. That's funny.
Yeah, you can't not accept it. He told me to. Like as soon as I loaded it, it was just like, oh, well, you've been gifted blue. Congratulations.
Oh no! Do we have to air this?
Another thing you can do is you can buy followers for other accounts. Like you can buy tens of thousands of followers for accounts, and Meta will punish the shit out of you for that because they don't want you buying followers.
Oh yeah, sure.
Someone did that to me once, and I had to manually delete like 5,000 accounts.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Who do they have even follow you?
But yeah, I say when the time comes, you guys need to like bring it back together, bring it back out, bring the band back together. Dark Nathan Robinson.
Or even just do like a whatever, like a briefly or like occasional like not necessarily a talk show, but just like the two of us like in a more like cordial setting.
Sure.
I guess, just kind of like talking some shit, I think could be an interesting whatever like venue. I think that there's a big market for that type of stuff in certain ways, and also like people are interested in like hearing, I don't know, just like the personality side of some of the people that they read news from and whatnot.
It's funny that people always talk to me like I wouldn't like you. I was like, it's an honor. I was like, he does a great job. What are you talking about?
It was funny.
Deeply
It was
flattering.
a good time. Some of the posts were maybe a bit off kilter, but it was fine. It wasn't too crazy.
People made such sick edits of you with that. It was so cool.
Yeah, I missed
the
the
Fago cream one is really good. I've got a bunch of really good pictures in my camera roll when I like scroll back. It's like you just being edited and being the avatar and stuff like that.
I know. I miss those days.
Those were better. The internet was so much more fun back then. I really miss those days. Now it's just like Nazi Epstein nonsense 24/7. I can't handle it.
It's horrible. It's horrible, and you can't. And the algorithms are so like completely fucked that you can't even like replying used to be so much fun. You could like just reply to like people, journalists you didn't like, whatever, and they would probably read your comments. If people liked it, you would actually see them. Now, if you don't have a blue check, it's impossible to get any of it up there, and it's all inundated with bots spamming and engagement baiting and all of that type of shit. It's just straight slop farming basically. And I get if you live in the third world, like, and you're making like 60, 70, 80 bucks every 2 weeks off of that shit. That's a fairly reasonable amount of money in a lot of places, or at least a supplemental income. So I get the market incentive for doing it, but that's not why fucking Elon did it. Elon just wanted to destroy the ecosystem, I assume.
Yeah.
Do you know what my staff, the staff at Current Affairs told me about you? They were like, do you know he's a really good rapper? And you are. And they were like, do you know there are videos of him rapping and he's very good at it? I was like, that's...
Salute. Thank you. I do.
So they are staff at Current Affairs are very complimentary of your rapping.
Nice. And we've got I know that there was a couch in there that was named after a group chat I made, I believe.
Indeed there is. It's a purple velvet couch.
Yeah, that is an honor. That is an honor, actually.
That's the wrap-off couch,
One day. I would love to test
in our
that
offices.
couch
Well, if you're ever in New Orleans, you come see the wrap-off couch.
Oh, Fuck yeah, absolutely. I will at some point in the next couple months. I'll probably be in Georgia, and I can.
Okay,
pop
hop
over.
on
It's not
down.
Too big of a drive.
Hop on down.
All right, that needs to be filmed, guys. You gotta put that on Kick live stream it, and then talk shit about clavicular at the same time.
No, I gotta get some like a song or something like properly like mixed up and ready for that, and then just have you be in the video. Not even anything to do with the content of it, just like pop up. In fact, I won't even be in the video; it'll just be you.
Okay. Whatever you want.
All right.
I'm yours.
Can't wait. Thanks, brother.
Yes, all right. Much love. Continue cooking, all of y'all.
See ya.
All right, easy.
I've been wanting to get you two together
Yeah,
forever.
never would have expected that was how he was gonna call. But no, he's great. We have a good rapport.
Clearly. All right, Nathan. So what's next? What do people have to look forward to?
Oh.
Who's the next collaborator you're gonna work with? You're gonna write a book with? You're gonna do an album with R. Kelly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna be cursed. No one's gonna want to work with me because they'll be like, just. No, we've got our current affairs. Our new book is the Current Affairs Guide to New Orleans, which is about to come out. Which is a 110-page guide to the city, which we're very proud of. Kind of apolitical, but really, really fun. I am just this month finishing the manuscript for my next book, which is going to be about J.D. Vance, my law school classmate.
Wait.
Well, not classmate. He was a year ahead, but I was there at the same time with him.
You could smell him.
So yeah, I could smell him.
Yeah.
I finishing that. Not a pleasant experience writing about him, but hopefully the book will be...
I'm very excited about that.
The book will be
definitely.
solid.
I would love to have you come back on and talk shit about
Yeah, let's do it. He's kind of a fascinatingly horrifying figure. And then after that, I don't know. We're gonna just finish this book, and then we'll see what happens next.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
What a privilege! What a privilege to be here.
Smash, juices flowing, winds twitch, like